Hello, and welcome back to the Jules with Jim podcast. I am your host, GiGi, and I hope you're well. If you're new, welcome. I'm honored to have you here. And if you're returning, I'm humbled to have you back. And to all my new subbies, welcome. You are the VIPs indeed. Thank you ever so much for the support. So, it's a rather somber moment, but not really. We have reached the end of the houses series, and I hope you're still with me because I know some of the jargon is so confusing. Some of the terminology that I'm using is confusing, but I think that's also why my podcasts are so long, is because I'm trying to break down the energies as best as I can, as much as I can, so that we're all kind of on the same page and we all understand what exactly is going on from my perspective. So I hope that it's really helpful, and I hope you're having as much fun as I am doing these podcasts. So it is the end of the houses series because I am talking about the last house, the 12th house, the cycle of life, as I like to call the 12th house. However, let's jump right into it. So as I have mentioned in my previous videos, there are a total of 12 houses, and each house is basically a segment or an area of life. So each house has a ruler, and that ruler can be any of the 12 zodiac signs. So from Aries all the way up until Pisces. Just to recap, we did speak about the 11th house and how the 11th house is the house of unison, of bed peace, as I like to call it, the house of peace, love, and light, and just overall camaraderie. And then we have the 12th house. And I pause for the cause, as Astrofinesse would say, because I feel this house is gravely misunderstood. And yes, the pun is very much intended, because this house is extremely deeper than 6 feet underground, just deeper than the ocean. And honestly, when I speak about the 12th house, I always want to talk about it from a feeling perspective rather than a logical perspective, as this house and all things associated with Pisces, which is the natural ruler of this house, is just not logical. It's not a logical house. It's not your Mercury. It's not your why am I saying Mercury? Anyway, but Mercury rules over logic. It's not your Gemini type of house. It's not your Virgo analytical type of house. It's not your communication that you can actually hear or even see. It is communication that happens beneath, under the surface, like, those non-verbal cues and behaviors and vibes. This is what the 12th house is all about. Now, please don't misunderstand me. I don't mean that this house is off the rails and can't think rationally, or that anybody that has any planets in this house can't think rationally. It's just more that a lot of the activities or the themes of this house are very much subconscious, very much embedded deeper. I also like to call this house the blind spot, because it's really a spot that only other people can see. Most of the activities that actually happen in here are seen by other people most of the time, if they do have that kind of eye, if you know what I mean. If we know anything, which I don't feel we really know anything, but I digress, about the subconscious and how it actually works, we actually come to find that we are influenced in ways that are at times just not even known to us, just very, everything is just subconscious. Everything just happens. It's like a reflex action. It's like how your knee would jerk, when a doctor hits you with a hammer, well, I don't know if it's a hammer, but for lack of a better word, if you've ever been to the doctor and he slammed like a steel thing on your knee, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So how the knee would just have a knee jerk, or it would just jerk on its own involuntarily, like that is exactly the energy that is this house. So really, some of the times we don't know why we do the things we do. We can't even find any logical explanations for the things we experience, or the things that we go through, or the way in which we feel, and even sometimes the way we react to things. So maybe we can find reasons why, if we do, an adequate amount of shadow work, and we actually try and really understand ourselves and really spend time getting to know ourselves, and self-care and all of that good stuff, and actually ask ourselves the important questions, like why we do the things we do, and why, and and actually accept the reasons for what they are thoroughly, and we do it without any judgment. It's like when you're doing your shadow work, you really have to go within. You have to ask yourself those uncomfortable questions that you don't really want to deal with, but you deal with anyway, because you're trying to find your triggers, right? So as soon as you know what your triggers are, you're then able to spot them at any given point in any situation that you might find yourself in. And in that, there is power, because you understand that, okay, this particular situation is triggering me. This is how I'd normally act. If it's a negative way that you would normally act before, you're more likely to change it, because obviously, this whole life thing really is about growth. I mean, if we're not growing, then we are stagnant, right? So that's really what the 12th house energy is about. It's about digging deep enough to get to the core, to uncover all of those layers, and to find the things that that we do subconsciously that don't really serve us in the right ways, or even having people around us, or people whose planets fall into our 12th house, and having them tell us the things that we do that may be irrational, or that maybe we don't even notice about ourselves. So and actually accepting those things when we do find them out without any judgment, and accepting them for what they are, instead of trying to sort of mold them into something that we think it ought to be. So this house, really, it's almost like trying to explain what is a dog, or why a baby knows how to suck its mother's boob as soon as it comes out of the womb, or how a mother knows instinctively how to nurse, nurture, and adore their children. So as you can already tell, judging by the explanation that I gave above, anything really is possible in this house. You can find out so many things about this house because it's hidden. So it's not like you're going into a library and you know exactly what you're looking for. No, you're going into a library, and I call it a library because not a lot of us actually frequent libraries anymore. We're so socially, distant from everything and everyone. So, libraries aren't really the places that we frequent anymore. But we walk into a library and we don't know what book we want. We don't even know what we might come across. But whatever we do come across, we try and understand it, read it, maybe perhaps try to not judge it by its cover. And, once we uncover what it is, then we kind of see whether it is healthy for us to continue holding on to a specific thing, or to just keep it moving, or to just be like, I never knew that about myself, and keep it moving. That's literally what the subconscious is. For me, from a personal perspective, that's what I experience the 12th house to be. It's like walking into a library and not really knowing what it is that you're looking for, what book you're looking for, what exactly you need. But I always find that once you do start to delve into your subconscious, you do find what you need to find at that particular time. So there's never a time whereby you'll find information that will not serve you. So I think it's really important to dive deep into what's happening in your 12th house. Pisces is an energy that is very much based on emotional responses, cues, vibes, and behaviors. Sometimes it's not even the 12th house person's own feelings, cues, and behaviors that may be influencing them. Sometimes because they literally like a sponge. So if you think about a sponge, immediately when you put it in water, it tries to soak up as much information or as much of the water. Let's say the water is the data or the information for, a better perspective, but it's literally like a sponge, and it sucks up all of that energy of the water, and basically anything can come into it. And also there's no boundaries, remember. So it sucks up all of that energy, and it can be very confusing because it's hard to figure out which feelings are my own, which perspectives are my own, which thoughts are my own, and which feelings and thoughts are of other people, if that makes any sense. So the symbol, if we now look at the symbol for Pisces, it's two fish which are swimming in different directions, which should already tell you why this house is said to be riddled with confusion. But honestly, it doesn't even have to be that way. The fishes going in different directions just represent having exposure to this current reality, this current material reality, which is tangible, which we can feel, which we can experience, and then having exposure as well into the reality that we can't really understand, that 12th house people may understand, that people with Pisces placement may understand, but other people looking in are kind of just like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So that's why they may be perceived as daydreaming all of the time, or in their thoughts all of the time, because they're constantly going in and out of realities, if that makes sense. 12th house people, Pisces, dominant people are constantly going back and forth in feelings, in cues, in behaviors, in energies, in vibes. Virtually everything. They are constantly just in and out, in and out, in and out. So that makes it hard to kind of ground yourself and be like, okay, those are just energies that are coming in, and it has absolutely nothing to do with me. That's why you'll find a lot of the times that Pisceans are always taking on feelings that aren't their own, energies that aren't their own, thoughts that aren't their own, or it always seems like they're mimicking people because they are constantly being flooded with information, constantly. And remember, like I always say, there are no boundaries. And I feel like I have to say there are no boundaries as many times as possible, because this is literally the energy of this house. There are no boundaries. So it's whatever, baby. Whatever's going to come into this house, it's whatever. You have to just kind of ride the wave for as long as it wants to wave out, and then, sail off. And then the next feelings come into play. So it's a very mutual energy. And obviously that explains the nature of Pisces, because Pisces is mutual anyway. So, having planets here makes it extremely difficult to have a complete full grasp of reality, but you'll also have a complete understanding of the things that are unseen. And like I said, Pisces, is a mutual water sign, so it is literally the full representation of water, because water can't necessarily be tamed. Water can't really be reasoned with. It can't be molded to fit into your logical version or description of what you think it ought to be. It just is. Okay, water in a nutshell, in itself, is something that we ourselves can't even touch. We can't even smell water. Okay, we can, but that's probably the chemicals in the water. Sometimes we can't even taste water because it just is. It's not something that you can have a definitive explanation of. It's not tangible. It's only something that we can experience, almost like music. So you can't explain how some songs make you feel sometimes. Sometimes you get goosebumps. Sometimes you repeat a certain part of a song or the entire song because it just touches you. It is just vibes, okay? It's just vibes. And that is what I think the 12th house is. It's a vibe, moments in time. That's the simplest way that I can break down the energy of this house. And I can't even mention all of the themes of this house because anything is possible, really. If there's anything that I can mention about this house, subconscious things are going to come up. I cannot mention what those subconscious things are because it's going to be different for everyone. But what I can definitely say is that spirituality, is quite important here. Music is quite important. Actually, overall creativity is important. So a lot of the times these people are extremely creative, whether that be through art, whether that be through music, through dance, because Pisces rules the feet, so these people might be very fluid, very well versed in dancing. Don't know if that makes sense, but you get me, boo boo. You get me. Just creative. Like, they find creative solutions to problems. A lot of the times they use their intuition to relate to people. And I think that's absolutely beautiful. So having planets in this house, especially personal planets, which are your sun, your moon, your Venus, or your Mars, makes the energy of the planet hidden or somewhat confusing or just misunderstood. So for example, if you were to have the sun in the 12th house, so sun 12th house people, sometimes they just can't fully understand where or how they should be shining, because the energy is so vast, it's so diverse. These people are like master manifestors. They can literally master anything. It's like the jack or the Jill of all trades, literally. They can understand concepts of anything creative, of anything spiritual, of anything deep. They just intuitively know exactly what you're talking about. They instinctively can relate to whatever experience you may have had. Their ability to empathize is just out of this world. But they themselves don't know what they should be doing. Like, their purpose is very, I don't want to say distorted, because that's just a negative way to look at it, because anything distorted means you can't see it clearly. But they literally can't see their purpose clearly. They can't see how they should be shining. And I'm here to tell you that, baby girl or baby boy, you should be shining in things that are of service to people, because you're able to understand humans, period. Especially when it comes to things that people don't generally understand, such as spirituality, or even things that are unseen. There are a lot of things that are taboo within this house that a lot of people who are into the 3D aspects of this reality do not understand. So that is where you come in. That is where you actually shine. You bring out the subconscious things that people can't see out into the open, and then it's up to them how they deal with those. So anybody who will experience a 12th house person or a Pisces dominant person will be changed, and that's facts. So they'll be able to master anything. And I also feel like the part of why they're able to be such amazing actors and actresses is also because of the fact that they understand other people better. That's why I said this is the house of service. They understand other people better, and therefore it's easier for them to act out. Like I said, this is the chameleon house. If you've listened to my Neptune video and my video where I was talking about Pisces energy, you'll realize that these people really are chameleons. They can become anything you want them to be, literally. And if you do hear a buzzing sound, I'm so sorry about that. I'm not too sure what is going on. I might be receiving a notification of some sort, but I'm busy with you, so I'm just gonna let that fly for now. So yeah, you can literally master anything. Especially when it comes to manifesting, especially when it comes to spirituality, especially when it comes to being intuitive or using your intuitive psychic abilities. I mean, being intuitive can be, you can be intuitive in a variety of different ways. You can instinctively know music. You can instinctively know how to dance. You can instinctively know how moods change. You can instinctively feel energies. You can, like those types of gifts and talents and skills are really what you should be harnessing if you do have any planets, if you do have the sun especially here, because it's really hard to know what it is you're supposed to be doing. So as I was saying, I think that's why most 12th houses or Pisces dominant people are actors or actresses, is because, you know, literally they have that influence of Pisces. So it's hard to be themselves, but they can be other people, because they literally can flow into a character. They can flow in whichever direction, and there's just very few people who will understand them. So therefore, being an actor or an actress comes much easier, because it's like you're guided on how to speak, you're guided on how to be, you're guided on how to walk. And with 12th house energy, you literally can morph it into anything at any moment. Chameleon vibes. So a lot of the times people also don't even understand them, like their family members or even their partners sometimes don't understand them, because it's like being next to somebody who virtually like switches up overnight, who like, you know, not even overnight, like in a matter of hours, it's like, I like this, I don't like this, oh I like it again, or I don't like it, you know, or finding out, you know, something else that may be of interest at that particular time. So, you know, it is an energy that is very, very hard to grasp. You can never figure these people out ever, which is a great thing, which is a bad thing. That is definitely up to you to decide. And then if you have maybe moon, which is your emotional nature, so that may be misunderstood by you or even those around you. You may not even understand why you feel certain things at certain times, why you react emotionally to certain things in certain situations. You know, you might even come to a point where you even think that you are psychologically, mentally, spiritually challenged, because you just can't cap the energy. Like, you literally, if somebody is telling you how happy they are, you feel how happy they are. If they're telling you how sad and broken they are, you get it, like, completely. The ability to empathize, again, is just unbelievable. It is astonishing. It's overwhelming, I think, is the best word in this case. It's like swimming in the deep end, and you know, sometimes you do obviously get anxious. Even if you do know how to swim, you do get anxious, and it's like you may get to a point where you think about how you may drown, right? And then how that anxiety may make you panic. The next thing you know, your heart is beating fast, and it's literally pretty much anything goes from that moment. You might black out, or you might just be like, okay, this is the moment where I sink or swim. So if I'm swimming, I'm swimming for dear life, you know? So there's a lot of those sink or swim moments when it comes to 12th house people. So it's either they are going to be completely done in, or they are going to raise the earth from the ground, literally. So not the best people to mess with, especially if they are aware of their power, because their power is very subtle, but it runs really deep. So you don't want to be messing with these people the wrong way. Okay. So, you know, the other part is also just not understanding whether these are your own fears, you know, or if they are being influenced by an experience or people around you. That's just the other thing about this house. It's like everything that you may have a perception of, you always kind of have to pull yourself towards yourself and pull yourself out of situations a lot of the time, and be objective as to whether this is how you're feeling or this is how the other person is feeling. Sometimes 12th houses don't even know how they're feeling, because they're constantly going in and out of, you know, emotion. So it's like, well, yeah, I know this is happening to me, but like, I don't know how to feel. It's like finding out about death. Like, the first thing is shock, the first thing is denial, the first thing is not believing that that is a reality, which falls under denial, but you get what I mean. So you're just probably going to be like, no man, I was speaking to that person like just yesterday, like we spoke like 3 minutes ago on the phone, like type of vibe. That is exactly how it is. It's like you don't really know what you're feeling at any given time, unless you actually ground yourself, or you're able to ground yourself, or you have maybe a moon in an earth sign that will really be able to ground you, where you'll be able to objectively take yourself out of certain situations and be like, actually, I don't even know why I'm even feeling so intensely, because this has nothing to do with me, child. Like, I should not be involved in this at all. And then we have Venus here. You, or even people, just may not understand like why you love the way you do, or why you love the people that you love. Just your capacity to love and forgive and be understanding. Just loving something or someone over and over again and again, unconditionally so, is just, wow, it is extremely overwhelming. Like, people just don't get it. They just like, I don't even know why you like this song, or I don't even know why you like this person. It's very hard for people to comprehend a lot of the decisions that you make when it comes to things that you enjoy, things that you find comfortable, things that you like to wear. Because I mean, you know, Venus is all about aesthetics, it's all about fashion, it's all about style. So a lot of the times people may not even understand, like, why do you like looking dingy, or why do you like the grunge, or why do you like, you know, being goth, why do you like dark colors and not the brighter pastel colors, you know, that type of vibe. Like, it's just confusing to people, to you. Sometimes you might not even understand why you even love people. Like, if you are in relationships, or, you know, I hope you are in a relationship, but anyway, each to his own. But if you are in a relationship with someone, sometimes you may not even understand like what it is that you love about them. Like, it's so confusing, but you know that you just love the person, you feel for the person, you feel the energy. And so explaining it to other people may be really difficult, or you just have those moments where you meet someone and you're literally taken aback because it's such a spiritual experience. Like, immediately when you meet them, you're like, yep, this is the one, yep. And nobody can take that feeling away from you, because you'll be replaying it over and over in your mind. Nobody can deter you from that feeling ever. So it's really very intense, very hard to explain. And you know, your capacity, like I said, to understand and be forgiving and be compassionate is just, it's astonishing to you, and even more so to other people, because they just don't understand it. They just don't get it unless they have 12th house influence, or planets, or Neptune in their Pisces vibes in there. They definitely just won't get it. They won't understand it. And I also feel like sometimes people take advantage of this, not because they are bad people necessarily, but because they don't know how to handle the type of love or the type of energy that they are receiving. It's like they don't even know if it's real or not, so they test the boundaries as far as they can, and even then you still care. It's like, it's mind-boggling for others except for you. At times you know exactly what you're doing. You know, you feel that they need you because they may have had, you know, a rough, tough time growing up, or a rough childhood, or they may have experienced something traumatic, and you just genuinely feel like you have something to offer that would really just be a world of change to that particular person. That's just the energy of this house, you know. So sometimes people just take advantage, you know, not because of who you are, but because of who they are. And I think it's very important to remember this if you do have 12th house Pisces Neptune placements, because it's really easy to slip into taking the blame, and, you know, sometimes even being a victim in some cases as well. But it's very easy for Piscean energy to take on a lot of things that aren't even theirs, to take on a lot of baggage that they shouldn't be carrying. So your relationships with people, your relations with people may be even hidden or just misunderstood. So even if you are in a relationship and you have Venus in your 12th house, the person that you may be dating may not even see how much you love them. They just kind of just like, well, you're not doing enough, you're not saying it enough, or you're just not reciprocating the energy at on the same level as they may be, or they may just be confused by your actions, your behaviors, like I said, this house brings up irrationality. So it's gonna be confusing. There needs to be a lot of communication here. There needs to be moments in time where the 12th house person really reminds the planet person, or you as the 12th houser remind yourself, even if you have planets here, that you know what, I am amazing, I am great, I am doing the best that I can, I'm still alive, so therefore I still need to live out my purpose. I'm here for a reason, because it's so easy to lose yourself in this energy. It's so easy to lose yourself in others as well. So easy to lose yourself in substances, so really your self-esteem may even be distorted. Your values may, they just may be out of whack, or even, even the way you may spend money, maybe just misunderstood to you. It's like you have money today, and a couple of hours later, or even within seconds, you just have no idea where all of the money went. It's like, what is happening? But thank God that if you do have Venus here, you're not really somebody who is materialistic, so you don't really panic about such things, because the universe will provide. You kind of just believe that the universe is there. The universe will take care of every need that I have, which is an amazing outlook to have a lot of the times, because it pulls you out of a lot of the emotions that you may feel, and you feel them very intensely, and it's really hard sometimes to get out of those emotions. It's like listening to a song on repeat and just not knowing when to actually stop the song, literally, until you actually feel physically sick, and then you're like, okay, no, if I listen to the song one more time, I'm probably going to throw myself off a bridge. Hopefully it doesn't get to that point, but this is kind of what it may feel like. And then there's Mars, which just makes it a bit difficult to understand why you're just not getting pressed. Like, why aren't you pressed? Or even when you are, you're just not sure how to exert the energy properly, or even towards the person or the people that you should be exerting the energy to. Like, have you ever had those moments where you just think to yourself after you've had an altercation or an argument or a disagreement with somebody, and you're just like, oh gosh, I should have said this. It's moments like that where you just like, if you have Mars here, we're just like, gosh, why didn't I say this? Why didn't I stand up for myself? I should have said this. I should have said that. They really hurt me. But no, it doesn't happen that way. It just so happens that you may have had that altercation with that person a week ago, and now you're chiming down your partner's throat or your child's throat because of something that happened last week, because you didn't deal with it accordingly. That's just kind of, and I know this for a fact because I've got Aries in the 12th house, and a lot of the times I have to really be objective and rational. I have to force myself to really be in that moment, because a lot of the times with this energy, you're not in the moment. A lot of the times you're not, I don't want to say you're not alert, but you're just not there a lot of the times, and if you are there, sometimes it's even difficult to understand what's going on. So I have to, a lot of the times, put myself in that situation and be like, am I understanding the situation clearly? Am I seeing this correctly? And Mars is an energy that's quite aggressive and quite quick, so it's easy for me to jump into conclusions. So I really, really have to think long and hard about a situation before I actually react, or before I actually give in and just be like, oh, let it slide. Because if I let it slide, for the most part, it is probably going to bother me for the next 10 years. So that is just a little breakdown of the ways the energy energies in this house can play out. And of course, it's also dependent on how deep you're actually willing to go with others and yourself, and also the aspects in your chart. I don't even know if honestly, I don't know if I've explained anything at all about this house, because I just feel like I just didn't say anything besides this house is extremely deep. It is deep. It is deep. It is deep. And a lot of the times, people who try and explain this energy people actually explain this energy, they don't even try, they do. They explain it from a negative point of view because they don't understand it. There's a lack of comprehension of what the 12th house is all about. This house's energy is unexplainable. It is inexplicable. It is things that you feel, things that you might not see with your tangible eye, with your actual eye, but it's things that you see with your spiritual eye, with your third eye. It's just vibes, man. I don't know how else to actually explain this house. This house's energy can also make you quite prone to addictions, as you just can't get enough of something. It's like I said, it's like a song that you really like that you keep on repeat. You just feel like a certain part just didn't hit you deep enough, or it just didn't hit you hard enough. So you keep going and going and going and going and going. And also remember that there are no boundaries. There are no boundaries. There are no boundaries with this house. So literally you can go balls to the walls with this energy and just sometimes completely off the rails. And also, Jupiter is a co-ruler of this house. And Jupiter, as we all know, or that we will come to know, is also very prone to overindulgence and overdoing, being overconfident, basically just biting off more than can be chewed sometimes, literally, So, a reminder, tubers, to take what resonates and just leave the rest. I always hope to bring clarity in the understanding of astrology, or even the study of it. And I hope you have understood a little bit more about the 12th house and its influence, even though I didn't really say much at all, except for it is deep, it is deep, it is deep. But, in my next video, I will be discussing, actually, how about I keep that a surprise? How about, you guys just come across my video when I do drop it and it's just a complete surprise? How about that? On that note, thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Show me some love and subscribe to my channel if you'd like and feel I have brought value to your understanding of astrology. And as always, time spent is much appreciated. Till next time, keep doing what you do. You know what you do. Peace, love, and most of all, light. I'm out.